Okay, in this video I will explain about another cell organelle, that is mitochondria. So mitochondria means mito means thread, chondria means granules. So generally the mitochondria is called as the powerhouses of the cell. Okay, so while we are calling, that means it stores the energy in the form of ATP. It provides the energy to the cell by the cellular respiration, through the cellular respiration. Okay, so that's why it's called as powerhouse of the cell or storehouses of energy. Okay, right. First we know the history of the mitochondria. So generally there is some scientist, the first scientist Kolliker, so generally discovered, observed the structure. Okay, this structure in the flight muscle cells. So flight muscle cells. Okay, so flight muscle cells in insects. Okay, and he named them as sarcosomes. Okay, named them as sarcosomes. Okay, sarcosomes. Okay, right. So there is another scientist, Fleming. So Fleming gave the term that is phyla. Okay, so because of these structures look like filamentous, so that's why he gave the term phyla. Another scientist, there is Altman. So Altman, another scientist who proposed the name, who gave the name bioplast. So why Altman called the bioplast? So I will explain further going concept. Okay, right. So finally a scientist, Benda. So Benda, he proposed the term mitochondria. Okay, right. So the ultrastructure of the mitochondria generally described by the Porter and Pellet. Okay, so ultrastructure was described by the Porter and Pellet. Okay, right. Okay, so now we know the occurrence of the mitochondria. So generally the presence. So mitochondria is present in all eukaryotic cells. Is present all eukaryotic cells. Present. Okay, present all eukaryotic cells. Okay, right. Except mammalian. Matured RPC. Okay, so matured mammalian RPC. Okay, and also absent in prokaryotes. Okay, also absent in prokaryotic cells. Okay, so this is the exception. Okay, right. If you know the number, if you know the number of mitochondria, so generally the large number of mitochondria is present in such cells which shows the cellular respiration activity and which secretes the enzymes. Okay, so generally the number of mitochondria is based on the cell activity. That means, so those cells which involved in the cellular respiration, okay, functions of cellular respiration and secretion of enzymes, in that cells generally the number will be large. Okay, right. So for example, if you take in our liver cells, so liver cells of vertebrates, there is they have 500 to 1600 mitochondria. 500 to 1600 mitochondria. Okay, or if you take algae chlorella and unicellular organism chlamydomonas, they have only single, so single mitochondria. They have only single mitochondria. Okay, right. Or if you take the multicellular organisms, giant amoeba, multicellular organism. This one is so giant amoeba. The scientific name is Chavos. Okay, the scientific name is Chavos. So the giant amoeba contains nearly 50,000 mitochondria. Okay, right. So if you see the flight muscles, flight muscle cells, they have nearly 5 lakhs of mitochondria. Okay, so why? Because here the flight muscles need more energy, so that's why so they have 5 lakhs of mitochondria. So the number is based on their cell activity. Okay, the function of cellular respiration. Okay, right. This is about the number. So if you take the if you know the size of the mitochondria, so right, so size of the mitochondria. Okay, so generally the size of the mitochondria is the length of mitochondria. First we know the length of the mitochondria is 1 to 8 micrometers length, and the width, okay, so width is 0.5 to 2 micrometers. Okay, right, so this is the size. If you know the shape of the mitochondria, so generally they are the sausage shape. Okay, so sausage, yeah, so the shape is sausage. Okay, so sausage or spherical. Okay, some are rod like, okay, or filament like. Okay, right, so rod like or filament or thread like. Okay, so thread like. So like these are the shapes belongs to the mitochondria. Okay, so this is the sausage, generally commonly sausage or spherical in shape. Okay, right, so this is the shape. So next, now we know the structure about the mitochondria. Okay, so structure about the mitochondria. So this is the electron microscopic structure, described by the Porter and Pellet. Okay, right. So generally, the mitochondria is a double membrane bound cell organelle. So it contains two layers. It surrounds the two layers. So one is the outer layer. So this one is the outer membrane. Okay, so this one is the outer membrane or outer layer. Okay, and this is the inner layer. So this one is the inner membrane. Okay, so this one is the inner membrane. Okay, so the outer membrane, the nature of the outer membrane. So generally the outer membrane is here less proteins, that means more lipids, and permeable. Okay, and permeable. This is the nature of outer membrane. And here if you take the inner membrane, so the inner membrane is more protein. So more protein, contains more protein and less lipids. And here selective permeable. So selective or semi permeable. Okay, right. This is the nature of the inner membrane. Okay, right. So here each membrane has 60 angstroms in thickness. Okay, each membrane has 60. Each membrane has generally 60 angstroms. Okay, so 60 angstroms thickness. Okay, right. So here the space between two membranes, there is a space is called as perichondrial space. Okay, perichondrial space. Okay, this is this one. So the here the space is about 100 angstroms. Okay, the space is about 100 angstroms. Okay, right. So this perichondrial space also called as the outer compartment. Outer compartment. So this one is the outer compartment. Okay, outer compartment. And the inner, there is a two compartments. So if you take this outer compartment and there is a inner space, this is called as inner compartment, or also called as matrix. Also called as matrix. Okay, so it contains, it has gelatinous material. Okay, right. So like these two compartments are there. One is outer and is the inner compartment called as matrix. Okay, yes. So generally the inner layer is encloses the matrix. Inner layer encloses the matrix. Okay, so the matrix is generally, if you take the nature of the matrix is a gelatinous and yellowish color. Yellow. So yellowish color. Okay, because of riboflavin. Okay, so due to the yellowish. So why they shows the yellowish, that means because of here the riboflavin. So riboflavin. So that's why it shows, it looks like yellowish, light yellowish color. Okay, right. It contains, the matrix contains here many of enzymes for cellular respiration. Many of enzymes for cellular respiration. So and also contains ribosomes. Also contains ribosomes. Okay, also contains ribosomes. Okay, and there is another structure called circular DNA. So circular, okay, circular DNA. Okay, so these structures are present in the matrix. Okay, and matrix also contains the divalent ions like magnesium, manganese, ferrous. Okay, divalent ions also present in the matrix. Okay, right. So here there is a mitochondria also contains the ribosomes. If you take the ribosomes, so generally 70S type of ribosomes are present in the mitochondria. Okay, so please remember it. So mitochondria contains 70S type of ribosomes. Okay, but if the question we will ask you which type of ribosomes are present in mammalian mitochondria, that means the answer that our answer is not 70S, 55S type of ribosomes are present in the mammalian mitochondria. Okay, okay. So here not vertebrate, not eukaryotes. Okay, so generally the eukaryotes mitochondria generally contains 70S. Okay, but in mammalian mitochondria contains 50S. So mammalian mitochondria contains 55 type of ribosomes. Okay, so mammalian. Okay, so mammalian mitochondria. Okay, mammalian mitochondria is 55. Okay, so this is very important. Please remember. Okay, right. So the 55S it means it has composed of two subunits. So that is 38S1. This is the largest subunit, and another one is 28S smaller subunit. Okay, right. So this type of ribosomes is present in mammalian mitochondria. Okay, right. So please remember. Okay. So this is, so generally the ribosomes produce the proteins, synthesize the proteins. Okay, right. So that means the mitochondria also the proteins are synthesized in the mitochondria by the ribosomes. Okay. So there is another structure is called a circular DNA. Okay. So generally the DNA contains rich in CG nucleotides. So rich in CG nucleotides when we compare to the AT. When we compare to the AT, that means C means cytosine and guanine nucleotides are present more when compared to the adenine, thymine. Okay, right. So this DNA helps in the replication. Okay, it is responsible in the replication. So that's why the mitochondria is called as self-replicating organelle. Self-replicating organelle. Okay, right. So self-replicating. That means the new mitochondria will be exist from the pre-existing mitochondria. Okay, the new mitochondria is formed from the pre-existing mitochondria itself. The new mitochondria is formed itself only. Okay, because of presence of circular DNA, presence of DNA. That's why the new mitochondria is exist through the pre-existing cell only itself. Okay, they cannot depend the nuclear DNA. They cannot depend the nuclear DNA of this cell. Okay, yes. So the ribosomes contains their own ribosomes and circular DNA. So that's why the mitochondria is also called as the autonomous organelle. Okay, autonomous organelle. So generally the ribosome is called as the self-replicating cell organelle or autonomous. So autonomous cell organelle. Okay, autonomous cell organelle. Okay, autonomous cell organelle. Okay, yes. So why? Because it contains the own ribosomes and DNA. So it exists from the pre-existing cell. Okay, new mitochondria is comes from itself. They cannot depend on nuclear DNA. Okay, right. So that's why they're called autonomous cell organelle. So that's why the Altman also put the name bioplast. That means living cell organelle. If you take the mitochondria from the cell, and if you if I put any other medium, that will be survive. That mitochondria will be survive. If you take from the cell and put any other medium, they will be that mitochondria will be survive. They independent because they have they have DNA. Okay, right. So this is about the structure of the generally the structure of the mitochondria, and there is the inner membrane is folded like structure. Certain has forms certain folds. Inner membrane has certain folds. These folds are called as cristae. These folds are called as cristae. Okay, right. So another video we discuss the structure of the cristae. Okay.